This is a shame. This is a shame. By the way, let me change the overlay on this. Um, take me headphones out. You take me headphones out. Me take me headphones out. Let me change the background of this. If I still have it. Well, I guess not. The freak. Where's my background? Here we go. Golly. Pyro was happening, man. And Water God Zero, man. What's happening, guys? Man, I had an interesting weekend / week. To say the least. But we shall see. We'll see how this week goes. We'll see how this week goes. And I'll say this news did not make this week any better. When I saw the official news where a settlement had been reached, right? So anybody that's probably not up to date, and we will go more into it in this episode. The lawsuit between Shannon Sharpe and the OF girl that was claiming that Shannon Sharpe SA'd her. A financial settlement has been reached. And Tony Busby had dropped the news. He's like, well, this lawsuit has been dismissed with uh, great prejudice. And it was almost like, a smirk or a cockiness when he said it. And the settlement was so much money, so much so that the OF girl posted basically a retirement, a Hall of Fame retirement speech on her Instagram, saying that she officially retires from OF. That's how much money she was able to get from Shannon. So Pyro says people be saying he shouldn't have been with a white young girl. Look at the girl Puff Daddy been with. Well, that's the thing that well, there's gonna be a lot of black people that are gonna be mad what I say, but they're when you're talking to black people about stuff like this, they're either super behind or way ahead. It's not in the middle, when it comes to conversations like this, right? Even today, let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all something on Instagram. Okay. So I think I don't know if I was reacting to something because I'm gonna show you on my Instagram what happened. This gotta be the stupidest thing, right? I'm gonna zoom into this tab. So do you guys remember this video? I didn't show you this video, but there was a video that had went viral with this girl, right? This is the video where this girl admitted to the show that she knew a friend that was going to put a SA case on somebody that she used to sleep with, even though she knew that the encounter was consensual. And she had to call her friend out for lying. So one of the comments said this: white women do this quite often. And what I replied, I said, all women, right? So what this black woman took from that comment, she said, you're a rapist. That's all you had to say. That was her reply back. That was her reply. After I said all women, because she said white women do this quite often. No, This is all women have the power to do this to you. Now, white women might be the best. White women are the best at this, but there's reasons why they're the best at it. But all women have the power to do this to you, right? Specifically in America, right? Australia, etc. But her reply to what I said wasn't even like I wouldn't even have replied anything back if she said I'm a misogynist or oh not all women and blah blah blah. She replies back, oh, so you're a grapist. That's all you had to say. And I was like, what? Oh man. I'm sitting there like, you've got to be kidding me. And by the way, when I say white women are the best at lying about grape, it's not necessarily that they're the best at it. They just have white women are more believable when they lie to the normies. Okay. So let me give you an example. When a white woman comes in looking all frantic, right? A lot of the times their hair is a bit disheveled. It looks more believable to the normies. Now, to the people that actually grew up with white women like me, right? Right? So a lot of people won't pick up on stuff. So naturally, when white women cry, I don't believe them. Me. Now, I'm not that doesn't make me a superhero or special. I when I was a kid, I grew up in elementary school seeing the most manipulative white female teachers that I've ever seen in my life. Them running game on people. I'm talking about children, parents, men, janitors, whatever. So I already know what to expect from white women, right? So I know it's not just so I already know that off rip. But to say that is just oh, there's only white women that lie about grape, bruh. Are you? It's so disingenuous, especially when you know, especially like if you're a black dude and you know the amount of black men that are in jail, that are in the grave over a black woman lying. Not necessarily just about grape, but just on anything. Just I'm talking about just on anything. It's just that when white women lie about specifically grape, especially if it's a man of color involved, they have more simps on their side. They have the whole system to use against you. They're going to have their parents on their side. They might have a family member or a father with money that's going to believe. So they have a lot going for them on their side. So like me saying that white women are the best at lying about the grape, it's almost like me saying women are better than men at cheating, but it's not. That's not necessarily the case. It's just that the side dude is most likely not going to snitch, right? So it's null and void. Because if black women had the same power as white women when it came to grape and lying about it, right, or SA, they would be doing the exact same thing that white women are doing. It's just that when, particularly if black women come forward and say somebody raped them, they're more likely is more likely somebody's gonna say that they lying. you know. But anyways, that's a whole deeper conversation that we can have about that, right? Shout out to Midnight Sun checking in. Yeah, because when I saw the response I got, which was like, well, I guess that means you're a grapist. I was like, what? Just because I said all women? I'm thinking she's gonna say, oh, I'm a misogynist or not all women. I thought I was gonna get I did not expect to get that comment. I'm not even gonna lie. But like I said, when you're dealing, especially, in a lot of black women's mind, they feel like they do no wrong, right? And I can say that with a lot of races, but black women, they think they're never wrong. like the average black woman, they think they're never wrong. But yeah, like me, I'll say this because I don't know what it is, but I guess maybe I'm doing it the right way, because I'll say something about black women get mad. I say something about white women get mad. But I'll say this specifically when it comes to white women, I don't naturally believe them. It's a knee jerk reaction for me to not believe white women when they talk. Now, that might be racist, that might be whatever. That's just my experience in general. Maybe that's what it is. I'm willing to take the heat on that. But I do find it funny when black women will come forward and they'll say I hate them and stuff like that, or I'll question them on. I'll talk about, it'll be like one thing I question black women on. It'll be like one thing. Then all of a sudden I hate black women. You're just like, okay, But most people, they not trying to hear the truth. So it is what it is. But you see, so while we're at this subject, let's play that video. Let's play this video. Because I was supposed to share that video a while back. But since this is on subject, let's play this video. Let's play this video.
I had a homegirl, right? She had an encounter with a guy. She was on him. She hella liked him, whatever. She called me the next day. She was like, yeah, we did woo woo. And I was like, cool, right? A year or so passes. She meets a guy that she's really serious with. And then she's like, so I was thinking about that one guy I was with, and I think he me. And I was like, you totally wanted him. You totally called me. You totally told me all the details. Yeah, like, what do you mean right now? But I think it was like the shame that I think she felt that she allowed herself to go there. And then when she met a serious guy, I think to herself, she was trying to make it seem like he overstepped or whatever. But he was like way tossed and she wasn't way tossed. Like she was fine. I think about shit like that. And I'm like, God forbid my sons were to have an encounter with a girl. She fully is, fine with things. Mm-hmm. And then years, months later is like, the shame that I feel is uncomfortable. So I'm just going to say that you took advantage of me. Hell no. I had a homegirl, right?
So yeah, it's ironic that this was right on brand, But this, like I said, don't think it's just white women or it's only white women doing this, or it's only black women doing this. No. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. It's just white women it's going to be more believable if a white woman does it. So, like, for example, with the Trevor Bauer, I know I give you a lot of examples, but the Trevor Bauer case, right? Even though everybody knew that the white girl was lying, it still grew legs. But then another girl came out and said Trevor Bauer did something to her. But nobody even believed her, so much so that the other girl got in trouble for what they put a charge on her for lying. Guess what the skin color of that girl was? That was a black girl. So the second girl that had came out was a black girl. They found out she was lying and they put her on punishment. They put her on timeout for lying. That's the difference. They both are gonna lie. It's just one is one is gonna be more believable to the public than others. Even though the white girl was clearly lying, the black girl that had came forward and tried to say Trevor Bauer did something to her, they wasn't the public. They weren't trying to hear it. they weren't trying to hear it. But mind you, that doesn't stop. That doesn't stop black women or white women from lying about SA. It doesn't stop them. And in this case right here with this video, I will bet, I'm telling you, this is most cases. This is, let me not say most cases. This is a lot of cases, right? Where a lot of these cases, when it comes to false accusations, is really just regret and they understand that if they get caught, they can lose something. And it's not like, oh, I can just lose something. They can lose something that they feel that they were working hard for. So how about this? How about this here? Midnight Sun. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were there for my last stream, but I talked about the Ben McLemore situation. That situation was clear as day for me. I already know what that was. This was a girl with parents that had money, but she was at a party that she was not supposed to be at. She got drunk. Ben got drunk. They hooked up. You see this stuff all the time on college campuses. I don't even want to hear it. Right? Simple as, right? Robert Covington comes forward. He says he says that she initiated with Ben McLemore, right? I believe her parents found out she was not supposed to be at that party, or maybe her beta boyfriend found out, and instead of just fessing up and say, I'm sorry, I was not supposed to be at this party getting smashed by a random NBA player that was cheating on his wife at the time, right? Instead of that, so to avoid punishment from her parents or losing her beta boyfriend, she put a grape case on him. Simple as. It's a tale as old as time. It's 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 the easiest that to me that was easy, right? But unfortunately, when it comes to cases like that, men are not going to publicly say that this bitch is lying, because the worst thing for a man to be called right now is to be called an incel, just for saying a bitch is lying, or a bitch is lying about SA, or a bitch is lying about whatever the case that may be. Men don't want to get called incels. Men don't want to get called virgins. Men don't want to, they don't want to be called a creep. That's like a man's worst nightmare right now, which baffles me, which still kind of baffles me. But I get it. It is what it is. Okay. Even like in my personal life, I still talk about some of this stuff. Like, people will be shocked. I'll be like, "Oh yeah, she's lying." They'll be like, "Oh damn, Chris, I didn't know you was that." Like I'll say that. I'll be like, "Oh, I think she's lying." But obviously, I don't go directly into it and be like, "Oh, this is what I believe in life." And the RP is not that bad. I don't even say that. I just when certain cases like this, I think the Ben McLemore case, that is the perfect opportunity, I believe, for a guy to really be like, "Hey, yo, I think she's lying," without you having to reveal what you really believe in life. And I think it's easier because it's a white woman involved with a black man. So just off GP, if you're a black man and you say, "Oh, I think this white girl's lying on this black man," people will give you a pass just because of the dynamics of the situation. So I think when it comes to stuff like that, you need to take, especially if you're a black man, you need to take advantage of that privilege and tell the world how you really feel about that, a specific situation like that. And I do that. I definitely do that. But we're definitely getting more into the Shannon Sharpe case. This is wild though. Now I'll tell you, I'll the reason why Shannon Sharpe settled, and I don't know why people are missing this. Because I've been watching a lot of people's reactions on YouTube and stuff, and I'm like, damn, y'all are missing it. And I think Corey Holcomb will go into this because, man, I'll say, okay, Corey Holcomb's he's the GOAT. But anyways, I think Corey Holcomb will talk about this tomorrow in terms of why. But I will make a prediction because I have that same school of thought. I believe Shannon Sharpe settled because it's not because he was guilty or he's how do I say this? More details was going to come out about their sexual encounters. Because remember, she filmed him against his will. Remember this. She has videotape on him, and she has more recordings. She has more details about their sexual encounters with each other. Now, I believe there were that Shannon Sharpe was allowing that girl to do other things to him that was, that would come to question, that would compromise, that would come to question to Shannon Sharpe's sexuality, where people would be like, whoa, you getting pegged? Like stuff like that. I think that's why he settled, because I don't think he wanted any of those details to come out to the public. So from my vantage point, it looks like Corey Holcomb was spot on about Shannon Sharpe being down low, because I think more details in terms of what kind of encounters that they were having together, I think more of those details was going to come to light, and Shannon Sharpe didn't want that to come to light. Because remember, like, where Shannon Sharpe, he's basically he's being blackmailed and extorted in front of us, yet she's the one charging him with grape. This is just the world that we live in. She videotaped him. She recorded him. She recorded their details together. Right? It's basically an extortion / blackmail attempt, yet she's charging him with grape. Right? And I think obviously women don't really get charges like that. That's just how our court system works. And if the trials or whatever was going to continue, more of those details are going to come out about what Shannon Sharpe does in private when it comes to sexuality and what he does in the bedroom. All of that was going to come to light. And he was like, you know what? I think for Shannon Sharpe, he gets really sensitive when people start questioning his sexuality. That's what I've noticed. So this is why I think there's something to what Corey Holcomb, when he thinks that Shannon Sharpe is gay. I think there's something to that. That's one dude that I'm like, yeah, there's probably something to that, because he gets, like, Shannon Sharpe gets really sensitive about that gay-ish. He really does get sensitive about that. When people start questioning his sexuality, I've noticed he gets really sensitive about that. So for him, he thought, like, he thought he was going to fight this publicly and bring this to the public, put a name out there and all that. But it seems like at the end of the day, what Shannon Sharpe values most of all is protecting his image of him being an alleged straight man. And I think if the details came out, people would start questioning his sexuality, and it looks like Shannon Sharpe values that more than anything. So that's my opinion on that. And I'm surprised that a lot of YouTubers haven't caught on to it. Oh, what is Shannon Sharpe hiding? He's hiding something. That means he must be. I'm like, nah, it's not that. He just doesn't want those details about his sexuality to come out. It's very clear to me, but it is what it is. Yeah, Midnight Sun said, "What? Getting pegged?" Yep. Yeah. I think, or there's a lot of men that are into getting into compromising positions for women to, quote unquote, dominate them, right? So, you know, it wouldn't shock me, right? Midnight Sun said it's unfortunate, but he'd rather take the L and settle as a loss to not compromise his image as a freak instead of defending his case to prove he didn't grape her. Exactly. That's perfectly said. I was trying to say it like that, but I couldn't. I couldn't find like the proper words to say it like that. But that's exactly what it is. He'd rather just take the L and settle now, even though he should have done that a while back. He should have been done that if he was gonna give up the money like that. But he thought he was just gonna be like, look, she lying, that's it. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And he thought that him exposing her for trying to extort him was going to work, but that just doesn't work. It doesn't work. A woman can literally openly extort you sexually, blackmail you for money, and at the same time charge you for rape. This is the court system that we live in. This is, people talk about how this court system is the greatest in the world and we have the greatest justice system. I never believed that. But this is the system that we live in right now. So he thought he could expose her for trying to money grab, but that's not enough. Shannon Sharpe's best bet, like for example, if the girl, like I said, if the girl was black, or say if the girl was black and she was over 20 something years old, right? Or she was in her 30s, Tony Busby probably wouldn't even have taken the case. But Tony Busby saw the dynamics at hand. Big, gorilla black man with, innocent, 19-year-old, 20, whatever age she is, innocent 20-year-old white girl, whatever. He knew the dynamics at play, and he knew that Zuniga had compromising pictures or videos or audio on him. He said, "Oh, I got this dude. We gonna extort this dude." That's why Tony Busby took the case. Somebody said, Water God Zero said getting pegged is crazy. But there's a reason why you'll have women, like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but you'll have these OF models or these prostitutes, whatever, they'll go on these podcasts and they'll talk about men love to get pegged. They just don't want to admit it. But that's because they only deal with people with money, people with clout, etc. And men with money and a lot of experience with women, they can't get off doing the regular stuff. They end up doing extreme things like getting pegged, like getting their butt played with, right? So they'll try things like that because they can't get off doing, the average, sex. I've talked about this on this channel as well. But these were the details I believe that was going to come out. And Shannon Sharpe was like, I can't afford for that to happen, And people don't understand. Like people still, I think people forget. Shannon Sharpe was born in 1968, right? He still like Shannon Sharpe still comes from a time where being gay was a career killer. So he still has that mentality. So there's a lot of dudes that were like undercover, or there were Hollywood actors back in the day that were undercover gay, but they still had wives, right? So to cover their tracks, or they would have a lot of kids, to cover their tracks, because that's just how it was back then. So there's a lot of dudes that still operate that way, where in their mind, in their psyche, being gay or coming out as gay it's a career. It's a very negative. It's very negative if you come out as down low or as bi or as gay. So Shannon Sharpe still has that mentality. And I'll say this, if Shannon Sharpe had came out the closet, that would not, I would still watch his show. That would not change how I feel about his show or his podcast or anything. But it looks like Shannon Sharpe really values that image of not being gay. You know what I mean? More than anything. There's a lot of people that are still like that. They operate that way. Even though this is the best, I always say this is the best time in the history of time to come out if if you did something in the past, if you was messing with men in the past, this is probably the perfect time in the history of mankind to come clean, right? I remember even Corey Holcomb said, "Look, I know some of y'all." he said before Diddy and them and all these people expose you, just expose yourself before they catch you. And I remember Corey Holcomb had said this, that I was laughing, but then I remember Lorette Hamilton had sent me a celebrity who basically came out and it was like, "Look, I was at a Diddy party and I did this, and I just want to say that now before I get before I get ousted." I forgot what the celebrity. He's not really a celebrity. He's like he's in the music industry, but it was that one. It was one dude that he tried to come forward before everything came out, which was smart of him. You better come out now before it gets taboo again. I still remember in the early 2000s where if you came out gay, it was it was a career killer. And I'm talking about in the 2000s. It was not that long ago. I always say pre-Obama. Pre-Obama. I still remember what the times were like, pre-Barrio, I meant to say. Pre-Barrio. Pre-Barrio. I still remember when if a male celebrity came out as gay, it was a career killer, right? So yeah, we talking about the early 2000s exactly. So Pyro said, "You got to be smashing way too much women to end up doing these things." It kind of makes sense, but to me, it still doesn't because maybe, yeah, I don't know. Because I know, men from the Caribbean, they still can't get enough women of like players from the Caribbean that like are Jamaican or Haitian, right? They be smashing all types of broads forever and they will never stop, you know. But there's some dudes, what ends up happening is I'm not going to say some, there's a lot of dudes, particularly in the entertainment industry. They can really get any girl that they want. So there's no hunt. There's really no chase. They just show up and they're guaranteed pussy just by showing up because of their clout or their status. So even though you'll have like a celebrity with a lot of women versus the average Joe with a lot of women, the average Joe with a lot of women, he's less likely to be, "Oh, I'm going to try something different." It's just because he's still at the end of the day, because he doesn't have the money or he doesn't have whatever, he still has to really work to get pussy. Like he really got to work to get girls still. Even if you're a handsome dude, but if you're a handsome dude but you're not famous, you still gotta. There's still a hunt. But with male celebrities, there's no hunt, right? If you're a male celebrity, you just, especially if people know your face, that's you just all you have to do is show up. So there's no real that there's almost a maybe that we could get into that on another time, but there's a satisfaction when you're going for a hunt and you're eating what you kill, right? But if you're a male celebrity or a male entertainer, there's really no hunt. You show up and the food is prepared for you. So when food is always being prepared for you, you tend to take it for granted. So maybe that's what it is. That's just my opinion on that. So this is why you'll have a lot of male entertainers, especially the ones that already compromised their sexuality to get to where they got. They end up experimenting again. That also happens. But I think it's part of there's always this, like I said, there's a satisfaction when you can eat when you eat what you kill, right? So, but anyways, oh man, but yeah, in the islands, because I already know, because I know like Haitian players or whatever, people with Haitian backgrounds or Jamaican backgrounds, they don't play that gay stuff, and they'll go through all types of women, all types of women. That appetite never stops. It's only if they get like really sick or they get really elderly and sick, that's when they stop. Like I'm talking about 70s, and they have like diabetes or something. That's the only way they still stop hunting. That's the only way. That is the only way. But anywho, let's bring up. I want to bring up a video that one of the subscribers and supporters of this channel had sent me, but I never got to it. I never got to it. I might have to open it on my. This was a video. I don't know why I can't find it on my saved. But the specific follower he sent me this video. I think it was actually because it was like two separate people that sent me the same video. That's what it was. That's what it was. It was like two or three separate people sent me this video. I was like, you know what? This is an interesting video. It was a yes, right here. So yeah, Pyro sent me this video. But then it was like right after Pyro sent me, it was like four other or five people sent me this video. I was just like, oh man, this is the mental illness that we're talking about here. But anyways, right here. I want you guys to watch this and show you the predictable reaction of a girl where a guy asks her out, she says no, but he moves on, and look how she responds.
Went to a party. I don't think guys understand how cringe this is, but I'm just looking at you like, you. So we're there, and I have very beautiful friends, okay? We're all beautiful girls walking into the party.
Tens.
Yeah, 10s, 11s. And these guys, obviously they're a bag, okay? Yeah, we get it. But like this one guy, he was like kind of like, imagine we're like standing around drinking, not him being like, I don't know who he came up to, one of us. And he was like, oh, like, you're looking good, da da da, just talking here and there. And he's like, can I get your snap? And then I remember somebody was like, no, like, sorry, I don't really give my stuff out. And he was like, I bet. He like literally goes, comes back, next person. Oh, hey, you're looking good. Can I get your snap?
Yeah, run that. Run that. You don't want me. You don't want me. Your friend might. Yeah, you don't want me. Yeah.
Wait,
Yes.
hold on.
Yes.
Wait.
He went in a row, like 4 girls.
Yeah. Who
that are
wants me?
part of the same group.
Who wants me, baby?
Hello, pardon me. Like, how are you gonna go from one friend to the next friend to the next friend? Like, you have to pick one and be like, okay, I want this one. I don't know. I just don't
Okay,
like
Destiny.
that.
Okay, hold on, Destiny.
You don't want anyone. I went to a party. I don't think guys understand.
And by the way, that was hilarious. Midnight Sunset, I called Cap, and I know what party was talking about when she said, my friends are 11s and 10s. Man, I'll tell you, women are awful when it comes to stuff like this. But anyways, this is usually what happens. You ask a girl out, you move on, you ask her friend out, or whatever that may be, and they will go on and start cock blocking. It's to me, I know people laugh this off, but that's like this is a mental illness. If you're saying I don't want you, or how about this? If a man said this, if a man said, oh, I wanted this girl. Sorry, I did. This girl asked me out. I said no. She ends out. She ends up asking some other dude out, and I'm mad that she didn't continue to chase me. They would say that man is a narcissist. They would say they would say something's mentally wrong with this person. Yet this is common for I'm talking about most women across all demographics. Across all demographic of women, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, you name it. You ask the girl out, she says no, or something, or say you were about to date the girl. She sees you on a date, she wasn't feeling you, right? It is what it is, it don't work out. And then you move on. Now all of a sudden your information is on the T app. Or now your information is on Facebook. Are we dating the same man? Just because you decided to move on, or it didn't work out with her. So because it didn't, she wasn't attracted to you and it didn't work out with her. Now you have to be excommunicated from all other bitches. You're not allowed to ask out no other bitches. It's this is I know people think this is a joke and stuff, and to me it's not. That's a form of mental illness. That is a mental illness. This is why also, with the passport bro thing, I would like, when I first heard of the passport bros, I didn't really take it seriously because I wasn't emotionally invested with these people. But seeing the reactions from women, specifically from black women, with the passport bros, like when I went on the black feminist on the Twitter Spaces, and I was trying to and I was talking about the Kai Cenat and Joey Pena situation. These bitches all of a sudden they brought up the passport bros out of no. I'm like, and I asked them, like, what do the passport bros got to do with it, do with anything? I thought these was a group of people, dudes that you don't like, though they're losers and all this stuff and blah blah blah. Yet you're talking about them all the time, all up in their business, worrying about what they're doing, and they're leaving you guys alone like you asked, and they're looking for other bitches. This is where I'm like, yeah, this is a mental illness. Like, you're dealing with a group of women that are just mentally ill. There's no other way to put it. No other way to put it. This is a mental illness. But nobody's gonna call women out for having this part of them, which is this is mental illness. Let me see. Water God Zero says, yeah, mental illness is common nowadays. They would call him a sore loser. Exactly. If a man said the same thing, but for women, they would call him a sore loser. They would just call him a loser. They would just call him a loser and a narcissist. Midnight Sun says, when a woman rejects a man and he feels sad, it feeds her ego. When he gets like 4 or 5 other chicks' attention after getting rejected, apparently she loses her mind and begins to chase after him. And what's interesting is when you feed other men that kind of information, women get mad at you for revealing this kind of information, dude. Where that's because the cheat code to getting women is to be a guy that already has a lot of women. So you'll have dudes. What dudes will do is they will fake having social status, right? So they'll take the bitch to a spot that they usually go to where they have status at. They'll take a bitch to you know what I mean, a place where they're well respected. Or they'll rent a car for the night that's way over their price range, and they'll say it's theirs, but they really rented the car, and then they'll rent a Airbnb and say that's their house, and that's really the cheat code. And women are kind of mad that there are dudes out there that know how to take advantage of that. And there's key factors like this when you're talking about when a man is just able to just ask a woman out, but just like move on and not be stuck on chasing her, it actually turns her on. And because we spread that information out, because that's real, like I said, that's like a damn near short proof way to get a broad. They get mad that we know this. But I'm like, hey, it's not our fault that you're the way that you are. It's not our fault. Pyro the Flame King says the T app being used the wrong way as per usual. I cannot believe they even allowed that app to exist. Because you already know women are going to use that. They're going to use that app for no good. And I'll say this. If I find, look, there are certain dudes that I know in my personal life that have done everything right. I'm talking about they've done everything the right way. If I find one of my homeboys or a male relative of mine, if I find them on this app, I'm going to find I will go out my way to put that girl on blast, and I'll put my name on it. I don't care, because I already know what hoes are. I know what these women are going to use that T app for. I already know. Oh, we need to. No, we already know what they're going to use that app for. We know. But for some reason, the powers that may be, or these app developers, they're just allowed. You can just put something like this, because we already know if we had an opposite app, the opposite of, I don't know, some hot chocolate app, whatever, where we say, oh, I dated this girl, pussy's 5 out of 10, but she had great mouth. If we had something like that, or, oh, I know her, she has a husband, but she's good at, if we had an app like that, every man involved in that app would get arrested. It's not even a question. It's not even a question. Yeah, pre-selection. They know, like they can't help themselves. So Midnight Sun said, I think it's called pre-selection, if I'm correct. That's why I always say, like, I don't even think it's money. In my opinion, I don't even think it's necessarily money that turns on women more than pre-selection. Or how about this? Like, so yeah, what did I call it again? So a social something. Social something. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. It's like social status or something. I talk about this all the time on this channel. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. I think, yes, social proof. Social proof. My bad. I think social proof really supersedes all. Right. I think so. Social proof matters. It matters. I think social proof matters more than money at times. Right. I find it funny. You'll have like you'll have people be they're why does all these why are these Twitch streamers having all these OF girls on their page? Why are these IG girls, they're chasing Twitch streamers now because they're the new I'm like, ain't it obvious? They're getting more money than rappers. The word is out. YouTubers and streamers and all, they get more money than rappers. They see all their money. The word is out. They have way more social status, more of a more international outreach, more of an international audience. And like people are just they just can't, they don't understand why is what's this bitch name? India Love. Why is she on all these streamers? The Twitch streamers, they're the new celebrities of our time. They're the new celebrities. Hollywood doesn't run the game no more. It's the internet. It's YouTube. It's Twitch, etc. Right? These are the people running things. These are the people with the most clout. Bottom line. Water God Zero said, "What is the T app?" So the T app is an app that women have so-called, developed to protect women from dating men that may have diseases or whatever. So if there's a dude out there that has a disease and he was dating this one woman and he didn't tell nobody and she caught it, then they'll put him on the T app, right? Or if they find out a man is married but he has all these girls, they put the man's information, they put his picture on there to see if there's something wrong with him. So if a girl is dating a dude or in the talking stages with a dude, the girl is going to put the guy's face and information on there and be like, does anybody know anything weird about this guy? Right? Are there any red flags that I don't know about? So the T app is used to expose men, whether you did right or wrong. So if you're a man out there in the dating market and a woman knows your information, you're probably going to be put on the T app. And I don't for some reason, for the life of me, I don't know how this is legal. I don't know how this is legal. But anyways, if the more I talk about it, it gets me depressed when I talk about this stuff. Right? So anyway. So anywho, let me bring up another video. I just wanted, because I wanted to bring up things that are related to all these things when it comes to SA, all these things. Because what people don't understand with the Shannon Sharpe situation, I've said this on this channel. There's gonna be a time, because all these Gen Z girls, they're gonna turn 30, and when they turn 30, they're gonna be first of all, they're gonna be burnt out by 20. They're gonna be burnt out by 26, really. But once they hit 30, they're gonna quote unquote meet a dude that's gonna take them seriously, but that dude is gonna find out she used to do OnlyFans or she used to be on a sugar app, and they're going to need an out. They're going to need an out because those guys are gonna be like, "Yo, what is this?" So what are they gonna say? I got taken advantage of. I got graped, etc. So we've been saying this, specifically me, but we've been saying this, like, if there's guys on this channel, and I'm not shaming you guys, but if you are a sugar daddy per se, I would advise you to please be careful. Hopefully she doesn't know your information, because once she hits a certain age, men are starting to get put up on game on how women really kind of navigate their 20s and how they go through life. So once her future beta husband finds out that she used to be a sugar baby or whatever, don't be surprised if you get some papers at your door serving you. You know what I mean? Or getting sued for grape. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. But anyways, let me also bring up I wanted to bring up something hilarious. I wanted to bring up something hilarious on YouTube, just to prove my point. Just to prove my point. Because it's not just Shannon Sharpe, man. And I don't believe there's really going back. I don't think there's no fixing this. Because people are, oh my God, Shannon Sharpe lost his money and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, so what do you rather Shannon Sharpe do? Get married and then get divorced and then he lose half his stuff anyways? I mean, there's no where is I mean, so I'm like, what? So I guess the crime is that he didn't trick on a woman that was quote unquote age appropriate, right? So that's the crime. And if I'm like, if that's the case, I mean, wow, okay. So this is that's the it is what it is. It is what it is. I wanted to bring up what's his name, Shisha Zed. He brought. I saw something on Shisha Zed's channel, which was very interesting. I was recently playing music at a casino. I can't say where, but I was recently playing at a casino. I had to travel a distance, right? And this is where I got the notification.
The right to vote was
this woman. She came on the whatever podcast, right? The teacher, which I've covered on this channel, the feminist teacher, who was talking about, oh, the teenage boys were slut shaming me, right? So apparently she came on the whatever podcast. She debated Andrew Wilson for like 30 minutes, if that, 15 minutes. She rage quit. She rage quit the podcast, and now she is preparing to sue the podcast. I want to make sure I'm getting her name right because I've covered her on this channel before. I've covered her on this channel before. I just want to make sure I get her name right. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna find her name, but I've covered her on this channel. And this is why I've been trying to tell people, stop debating bitches on your show. Like when I saw this news and she was going on Twitter or what on her Instagram and TikTok and complaining about how she felt like she was being ambushed and Andrew Wilson was attacking her and etc. Talking about it felt like digital SA and stuff like that. Like I'm like, bro, this is what happens when you be debating women on your podcast. And then on top, I always said this. I saw a quote where it says debating women or arguing with a woman is like playing chess with a pigeon. Even though you win the chess match, the pigeon is going to fly away and poop on your board. So who really wins the match? So that is when you're debating women on your podcast. That's why I'm never going to be doing that on this channel. No, never. Ever. If you ever see me like with a woman on this podcast, it's going to be me interviewing her. It's not going to be a debate because there's nothing to debate about. Men are not supposed to be debating with women. I've been very firm on this because now you got this broad. I kid you not, when I saw her reaction to her, instead of her admitting that, look, I rage quit, I wasn't prepared for the debate with Andrew Wilson, she's talking about digital SA. I felt like I was being digitally SA'd by the commenters calling her out for not being prepared. And we laugh about how stupid it is, but who's to say that the lawyers, like the scumbags that are lawyers, that aren't looking at stuff like this, like, maybe we can make a lane out of this. I bet you, like, when it came to the Bill Cosby trial, when the lawyers realize, wow, hold on, we can go past the statute of limitations. A bitch from the 1950s or 60s can say, this dude did this to me and it will fly. I bet you the lawyers, the blood-sucking lawyers and the people of the courts and all this, they were licking their lips, rubbing their hands like Birdman and all them people, realizing the loophole that they could exploit. Hey, man. So guys, please, like I'm telling you, if you guys get the chance, because I think AJ talked about it as well. I think AJ talked about this as well. And this is why it's not that I don't like Andrew Wilson. It's just I can't give him credit for, quote unquote, debating women on these things, because I think there are young women that have been brought up properly that could beat these broads in a debate, right? No disrespect to Andrew Wilson, but like there are young ladies that I know personally that could beat these girls in a quote unquote debate when it comes to topics like this. So to prove them wrong, that's not really something that's impressive to me. But the problem is when you quote unquote embarrass them or you own them or you've got them and blah, blah, blah. Now you're going to have bitches like this. They're going to start suing, even though she wasn't prepared. Let me make sure if I can find, let me see, feminist sues whatever podcast. Yeah, what's her name? Is her name Kylie? No, that's not her name. That can't be her name. Nope, that is not her name. But even then, like, so I'm seeing something like they're saying that she claims that she has 150 IQ. This is why when it comes to the whole IQ conversation, I don't know. I don't know. Hey, yo, when it comes to that whole conversation with that whole IQ thing, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta find out what her name is because I don't know why I can't. I'm blanking on her name. Yeah, Kylie Brewer. That last name, I recognize that last name. Here we go. Kylie Brewer. Her Instagram should pop right up. Yep. Because a lot of people might not remember, but I've covered her plenty of times on this show. I've even done an episode on her, but it was and I used this as the thumbnail too and everything. I remember using this picture as a thumbnail on one of her clips. But I remember there was this one specific video she did that got her viral, and the clip was where she was talking about, the quote unquote teenage boys in her class that she was teaching. And she said that she was being slut shamed by them. And then there was a comment in the comment section. And the comment said, "I hate teenage boys." And she hearted that comment. And people called her out and she removed her like, because she must have forgot, if you like a comment, if you create the video and if you're in your own comment thread, and if you like the comment, is going to highlight your name that the creator liked your comment, so she had to remove it. So I'm like, why are we letting a teacher that hates teenage boys teach teenagers of all sexes, right? But this is the woman. I guess she claims that she has 150 IQ, but she's a teacher, so that's got to be capped. I don't know a whole bunch of high IQ people becoming teachers, but that's just me. But it is what it is. But yeah, I remember I did like 2 videos of her separate before she came on the whatever podcast. Let's see this. She goes, "Oh, I've never seen this video before." She says why I left MAGA. Oh, okay.
Kylie, and I'm proof that white people can change. I grew up around a lot of conservative people, whether that was extended family, the parents of friends, or simply the town that I was raised in. I used to believe a woman shouldn't have sex till she's ready to have a baby.
I'll say this. I remember I told you guys, most of these liberals, they have a conservative background. I've been saying this for a minute. They always continue to prove me. Oh man, people continue to always they're too predictable. That's also the reason why I always hold the conservatives responsible. Because I always say the best kids that I saw growing up, their parents weren't necessarily conservative in how they talk. They were just conservative in practice, right? The people that are always out, out and out conservative this, conservative that, but they're full of caca. But I always say the best kids that I saw weren't necessarily conservative in terms of their parents saying that they were conservative. Their parents were conservative in practice. Like I said, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. Right? When people always get confused when, I always say, yeah, LeBron James, he's a liberal, but he's more conservative than most of these self-proclaimed conservative, practitioners out there. He's more conservative in how he does things than most of these, conservative people, these TradCon people. And I could tell by how his kids are raised. His kids when you look at his kids, they're normal. they're normal. They're not weirdos. They're not Batiman. His daughter is normal. His sons are normal. They don't do weird. They're not weirdos, right? They're not in active rebellion. You know what I mean? In trying to actively rebel against their dad, right? Or their mother, right? But a lot of these liberal women that dudes be complaining about, they have a conservative background. I've been trying to tell people this for the longest. Oh man. Let me see this. Pyro the Flame King said Average Man Unplugged talked about it, and Coffee Pie talked about it. Yeah, she's suing. Which is low-key, it's pretty predictable. Because I'm like, you think these hoes are gonna be taking these L's, going on these people's podcasts, looking stupid? I'm like, you think hoes are not gonna take that L? They're not gonna take that L. She said, watch this. I finna put a case on y'all. But anyways, my bad for going on that rant.
insane. I was anti-LGBTQ. I was extremely religious and devout and tried to fit in with all of the other white people that I was around. I simply inherited the beliefs of those around me and became what my environment was.
Interesting.
But I broke out of it, and that's why I make my content, because I know that it's fully possible for other white people to do the same. Is it fucking scary? Yes.
She said, I fully believed in MAGA ideology until I was 16. This is what pulled me out of it. Nah, I think me thinks she's just a proper dickhead. So I believe that when she was MAGA, she was a dickhead. And now that she's a liberal, she's just a liberal dickhead. That's my That's just my opinion on it. She does not, that's not, no. She comes across as just a proper dickhead. No matter, I'm talking about no matter if she is she decides to claim the liberal side. And then watch this. What people don't understand is she's going to make a pivot eventually. She's going to make a pivot back to I like to say moderate conservatism. So she's going to make a shift eventually. She will make a shift back to the right. But she'll still be a feminist. She'll still be a feminist, but eventually she's going to make a shift to the right again. She will.
Because your entire way of life as a white conservative is tied up in politics and religion. So it can be very difficult to leave. You have to reevaluate your entire sense of self, what you like to do, and who you.
Nah, you just got indoctrinated via TikTok, or which most women get indoctrinated is via college. They go to college. They go into college. They were normal. They had a normal way of thinking when it came to politics or religion. Then they go into college. They go in there. They get ran through in conjunction of, and then on top of that, you got the Marxist professors or overly left-leaning professors putting things in her ear. This is what's happening with a lot of particularly Caucasian women or Caucasian conservative women. And they're already, their foundation is already not steady. Their foundation is already not steady. So they come into those colleges, these liberal leaning colleges, and they have no foundation to stand on, and they easily switch sides, quote unquote. They switch sides. Because I know plenty of women that they didn't really have their parents didn't necessarily have a political background. So they'll have parents that if they voted, they would vote conservative or liberal, depending on what policies that they want. They didn't push any politics on their kids, or they didn't have outright supporting. They didn't outright support anybody politically. And then they'll go into college and they're unaffected by the professors because the parents are not overly invested in one side anyways. So they go into there with an open mind. So even though as a woman you're still going to come out liberal anyways, but they don't come out like they don't come out super liberal, or they don't come out super conservative. They just come out with a different way of thinking. But a lot of the super liberals that you see, or the ones that are doing the most damage, most of them, they came from openly conservative families. And their foundation is very shaky because a lot of them can't really stand on what they say. Many conservatives, especially many conservative families that I've come across, they're not congruent, right? No disrespect, but a lot of them, they don't really practice what they preach. They're not congruent, So this is really the problem. This is really the problem.
You are fundamentally, but I did it. Why? Education, exposure to different perspectives, and a love of learning. Books genuinely pulled me out of this bubble, truly. Also realizing I was queer and liked women definitely helped, but I repressed that shit until college. Point being,
damn, she got groomed. She got groomed. So this is the thing, is like when you actually have a normal childhood, or if you grew up with parents that are not unreasonable, right? Or you grew up with, I'm talking about with both a mom and a dad, right? Because you'll also have situations where you will have a so-called conservative family, but the mom still divorces and takes half of of what she wants, right? But if you actually grow up with reasonable people with a balanced point of view, but still understands the natural order of things, you're not going to be able to just groom them into becoming a queer or groom them into becoming a lesbo, right? Right. It's not going to happen, because once they'll be able to see that, oh, you're trying to steer me a certain direction. That's not going to happen. Right. But that's just my way of looking at it.
you can change. If you're a white person seeing this, it is possible. It's scary, but I did it and I am so much happier now. It is so much better to think for yourself. Go read a book. You got this. My name's Kylie.
I'm pretty sure when she used to be MAGA, she used to be very like you see how like she's always talking about, oh, white MAGA is racist and all white people are racist. Nah, I think she's talking about herself. I'm pretty sure when she was MAGA, or when she was on the conservative side, she was the one being a dickhead. She was the one being overtly racist. And now she goes to college and they put her on in a or somebody puts her on in a different way of thinking. Now she's projecting all the stuff that she used to do and thinking that, oh, this is what white people do. No, this is what you were doing because you're a dickhead. I know way too many women like this, or sorry, not women, really people like this, specifically liberals. A lot of liberals, they project their evils on others. Because I'm pretty like I'm if we like interviewed, if we interviewed people that went to high school with this broad, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna be like, yeah, she was very conservative. She used to be very religious, but like she was used to be very in your face and blah blah blah. They're gonna say it like it's gonna be negative. Look, man, if if people interview like the people that I went to high school with, what they're gonna say the same thing about me. Oh, Chris didn't really say much. He seemed pretty leaning. He seemed like a decent dude. Didn't really say much. Same thing, and you're gonna hear the same thing from then that you hear today from the people that know me. Oh, I'm surprised that Chris has a YouTube channel and he's talking, because he didn't really say much when he was in high school. That's literally what they're gonna say. It's gonna be the same thing that you heard from high school then. Same thing. But with somebody like her, she's an example of a woman that is easily, you can steer her, you could steer her off course easily. Because I'm now that I saw this video, I am 1,000% sure that when she was more on the conservative side, when she was more when she used to be religious, etc., she was a dickhead about it. I am 1,000% sure that's what it was. And now she projects that right? So when you look at these captions, white people think they own the sidewalk. Why every woman should be a feminist, right? The SAT was created by white supremacists. Uh, um, racist beliefs that good white people have, and all these. I'm like, it's really her projecting. Pyro says my people be doing that in Jamaica. So when I came to the US, I'm unaffected by the leftist and right wing stuff. Facts. That's the best way to do it. You know, in my that's why when you'll even because especially when it comes to politics or religious beliefs, you'll actually see who's the most balanced. The people that are actually balanced in their thinking, you'll be surprised who they are. Pyro said liberals don't think for themselves. And I'll say it like this. The election proved it because most white women still voted for Trump. But what happens is in public, what they do in public, you'll see you'll see it. You'll have an interviewer. He'll be interviewing it'll be like a black dude or whatever dude. It'll be a dude interviewing 2 white girls or 3 white girls. And the interviewer will ask the one of the white girls something very controversial. They'll say something about, oh, what do you think about Transformers? And you'll see one of the white women, you'll see the white woman that he's asking the question to, she's about to answer it a certain way, but then you'll see the other girls like, no, don't do that. Oh no, we believe everybody should be treated equal. Like you'll see like one white girl that's about to tell the truth, and then you'll see the other white girls try to be like, hey, stop. Like I see that a lot. So in public, they'll masquerade as a liberal or they'll masquerade as whatever, but really in private, they're voting conservatively, you know. So that's another thing a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know this. You know, especially when it comes to women, when it comes to what they think in public, they're just going by what's acceptable, right? What makes them cool? What makes them they're going to say something that doesn't make them look bad. So another example is this: when you ask a woman, what are you looking for a guy? They're going to describe a beta male, but we already know they're not going for a guy like that. So she's going to say all the things that's not going to make her look shallow. She's not gonna say, "Oh, I'm looking for a drug dealer." She's not gonna say, "I'm looking for a dude that has options, that has a whole lot of bitches, that really doesn't mean nothing by me, but can allow me to not take any responsibility, et cetera, et cetera." Which we all know this is true, especially when it comes to younger women. So she's gonna say all the right things to not make her look bad, but we all know in private. In private or even in public or even, you know, I'm not gonna say behind closed doors, but we already know how she really dates. It's a whole other story. Interesting stuff. But yeah, this is why she's one of the main examples of why I do not want women on my podcast. I'll say this: Taylor Rooks is allowed on my podcast. I don't know. One day I'm gonna surprise y'all. One day I'm gonna bring one of these women on my pod, and it's not gonna be, like I said, it's not gonna be a debate. It's gonna be an interview, because we're not debating hoes. I would rather talk about sports with a woman than this stuff. I would rather just talk about sports with a woman than this stuff, because this stuff they're not going to be forthright. They're not going to be honest. They're not going to keep it a buck. They're not going to keep it a buck. and they're gonna gaslight you. All that. So let me see if I can find another video related to this. So remember. So this is the thing. This is the thing. This is gonna be interesting. I'm going to show you this video real quick. This is very interesting. So what's beautiful about life sometimes is women will unironically prove your point right, verbatim. But their intention wasn't really to prove you right. Their intention was to still make men look bad, right? And at all costs, make men look bad. Women are whatever. Women bad. Sorry, men bad, women good, right? But at the cost, they'll. I don't know what's the term, you know. It's like I forgot what that term is. Just like it's called like cut your nose to spite your face. I don't know what the term is, but bottom line is, women will prove your point so much so you'll be like, wow. I mean, so I was right all along. So right here in this video, I know you guys might be confused of what I just said, but right here you're gonna see a woman, a feminist. She's gonna say she's gonna say there's no such thing as Stockholm syndrome. Now I've said very similar statements on my channel where I would say, there's no such thing as postpartum depression. I have said there's Stockholm syndrome is a bit of a myth. I have said that on this channel, but this is something where women usually bring up Stockholm syndrome as an excuse on why you'll have women staying in abusive relationships. But here we're going to have a feminist. This is a feminist from the Nordic regions. She's going to say that Stockholm syndrome isn't real, but she's going to, when she says that, is not to be pro men. It's to be pro woman and anti male. But it's going to be interesting how she uses Stockholm syndrome, the definition of Stockholm syndrome. But it's still going to prove me right, which is the crazy part.
Rather than trauma bonded, they say, oh, it's Stockholm syndrome, which came from a male psychiatrist in Sweden, right, in Stockholm. The short story is that a number of people were held hostage for days, and one of the female hostages that had a gun put to her head, she listened very much to the man who had the gun to her head. She knew there was a SWAT team of police officers, and she ignored them, and she paid attention only to the man with the gun to her head. The male psychiatrist said she fell in love with her attacker. She bonded to him, and this is Stockholm syndrome based on one case, even though that victim said on a radio interview, I had no feelings at all other than fear to the man with the gun to my head. I paid attention to him because he was the threat. And so we totally debunked Stockholm syndrome. There wasn't any data to support it. It was a made up thing. Women are actually very active in their own risk management. They know who the threat is. They will collaborate. They will use their communication skills to talk that person down. They might even say, I love you, to stop them from escalating their behavior. Do they mean it when they're genuinely fearful? No. Victims are trying to survive. And I'm saying it as simply as that. They're trying to survive and stay alive rather than trauma bond.
So isn't that interesting? Stockholm syndrome, there's no such thing as Stockholm syndrome. So look at this caption right here. Look at this caption here, because this is from an uber feminist. But she's trying to say like, oh, men came out with Stockholm syndrome. Right? But she doesn't even realize, she just basically proved all of us right. But anyways, in the caption, she says there's no such thing as Stockholm syndrome. Women are actually very active in their own risk management. They know who the threat is and they act accordingly. Now, she's saying that This is where like you'll have a statement. Two people will say the same statement, but they'll have different agendas on why they say that statement. So I have said I've said things like this on this channel all the time, but I say that in terms of women are not really victims out here, right? But she's saying it in a way that women actually are more empowered than they think, and that men came up with Stockholm syndrome to excuse women being in a compromised state and doing things in a compromised state. Either way, we're both saying the same thing. Stockholm syndrome is a myth. So anytime you have a whole, you'll ask a whole, okay, so you said that you were abused, but you stayed with the dude for 15 years or stuff. You stayed in an abusive relationship for 10 years. Well, what's up with that? If she brings up Stockholm syndrome, she's being disingenuous. Because here you even have it from an uber feminist. There's no such thing as Stockholm syndrome. Women are actually very active in their own risk management. This is what she said. She thinks she's empowering women with this statement, but the actuality is she's just proving me right. This is very interesting, man. This is very interesting. So here I am, I'm saying these things. I'll be like, Stockholm syndrome is cap, etc. Women are using that as an excuse. Now, she says it, but she's saying it in terms of, oh no, women are very smart. They're very powerful. They actually know what they're doing, and they're just using. That's what I said. But she's trying to say it in a way where, oh, women are women are the empowered ones. We have the power in the situation. We're not bonded to our abuser. And it's like, technically, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. Women are much more smarter than people give them credit for. They know who to try and who not to try, and they're very smart, and they're very they know what to get away with certain people and what not to get away with, and what they can pull certain things on. So this whole thing, when you have a woman staying in a situation where it's at her disadvantage, but she stays for years, that's on her. That's what I've been saying. But anywho. I want to see some of the comments for that one, because I thought that was interesting. So now, right here, you're going to see in the comments, technically the women are snitching on themselves. So the next time you see a woman talk about, oh, I was in an abusive relationship for 15 years, cap. So right here, you're going to see it in the comments. God forbid a woman outsmarts a man for survival. Active in their own risk management. What's that? A man not believing the words of a woman and making up his own, then basing the rest of medical and psychological history on that? Never heard of it. So if that's the case, because right now all the comments are basically trying to make it look like men are the ones that created Stockholm syndrome to excuse what happens between women and men in an abusive situation. But like I said, if that's the case, doesn't that mean guys like me are right when we say that women choose to be in bad situations? They choose to be in bad situations. They choose to, get quote unquote trafficked, right? They choose to be in a situation where they're in a quote unquote abusive relationship for years and years on end without leaving. They choose to be with a narcissist. They choose their baby father. They choose to be a single mother, right? Doesn't that mean that? But we already know they can't even a woman's hubris is like they don't even realize how yo, look at these comments, because these comments are proving that women choose to be in bad situations with men. They choose it. They choose to be, or if they stay in a prolonged period of time in a bad situation with a man, or if a man is not treating her right, or she's getting abused, etc. She's choosing that. She's choosing to stay in that situation. Stockholm syndrome was an excuse. Really, what it was, the term Stockholm syndrome was an excuse made by a logical man trying to put a logic behind why a woman would stay in a situation where it's not disadvantageous. He's like, nah, this just gotta be a term for a woman staying loyal to the guy that had the gun to her head, blah blah blah. So he tried to use logic behind it, and what the women don't even realize, with him coming up with the term Stockholm syndrome, that was him giving women an excuse, but they can't even see that. They can't even see that when a man was talking about Stockholm syndrome, he was technically giving women an excuse for why a woman will stay in a toxic situation, or they will be in a situation where they are loyal to their abuser. This is what this term has been used to cover up. And then you'll have a guy like me saying, I don't know about that, but I'm wrong. But here, the whole woman good, men bad at all costs. They don't even realize now they're undoing. they're undoing their own work. Now they're saying Stockholm syndrome is a sexist myth. Yet women were the ones that were using Stockholm syndrome as an excuse to stay with abusive partners. I'm looking at these comments and I'm baffled. I'm sorry. I know I'm speechless a little bit, but I'm baffled looking at these comments. I'm baffled looking at these comments, bro. It's basically proving me right, like so much so, because I would take this logic and be like, well, yeah, that's why I always say that women, they choose to become single moms, or they choose this, they choose to be with an abusive guy, they choose not to be in a stable situation. A lot of the situations that women find themselves in, they chose it, but they will argue me, tooth and nail. They'll fight me tooth and nail for that opinion. But here a woman says the same exact thing that I said, but it's in the context of men came up with this. So men bad, women good. And they all agree with her. This is wild, man. This is wild. Okay, so right here, she goes, when I was planning my exit, my abuser caught on to me pulling away emotionally. I had to revert back to what was safe, which was playing the part of a loving partner. Deep down, I had already detached from him emotionally. On the surface, it looked like I wouldn't leave his side. Anything is a solution when in survival mode. I hope dudes understand why channels like this are important now. This is interesting. But anyways, they won't talk about this. They won't talk about that clip. Mind you, and what's interesting is I don't see no black women in the comment section. Because you already know black women use that Stockholm syndrome thing like it's gospel. Anyway. Okay. Sorry, I was a bit distracted there looking at my phone. But yeah, I'm gonna save this clip. I might have to save this clip on my hard drive. I'm definitely gonna have to save this clip. Because that logic in and of itself from that woman, it proves that women decide any situation that you see a woman in there, she put herself there. And that's always been my logic. I've always said, well, women are a lot smarter than they're not, like, women are not dumb. They know what they're doing. But the reason why they'll do what they do is because they know there's a lot of leeway. So even if it's the wrong decision, they know they can lean on the law, they can lean on the court of public opinion. They can lean on a lot of things or sayings or laws to where if they do something wrong or they go the wrong way, they don't have to take full accountability. And they know this. They know this. That's really what that is proving. But okay, here's what it is. But anyways, let's read the full Shannon Sharpe article. Let's see how the normies describe the situation. And then I will read the retirement statement from Gabriella Zuniga. Right? Shannon Sharpe and Accuser reached settlement in $50 million grape and essay lawsuit. Tony Busby says all matters have now been addressed satisfactorily and the matter is closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice, said attorney Tony Busby. I'll say this, man. I'm not one to wish death on people, but if Tony Busby were to accidentally he accidentally trip and falls and hits his head somewhere and he takes a permanent dirt nap, I would not shed a tear for that dude. Because it's really lawyers like that, people in the court system like that, ambulance chasers. These are the people that they really ruin it for a lot of people. They really ruin the game for a lot of people. Says Shannon Sharpe has settled a $50 million grape and essay lawsuit that was filed against him earlier this year. Tony Busby, the attorney of the woman who filed the lawsuit, confirms to People that he and Sharpe's lawyers have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. Both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and Do y'all see this right here? This is coming from Tony Busby right here. He says both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship. He said, after protracted and respectful negotiations, I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. So right here, they acknowledge that there was no grape that happened or essay that happened. This was a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship. Right here, it says this right here. He acknowledges this. Both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship. So they're not going to say both sides acknowledge that she was capping about being raped. They're not going to say that. He's just going to say, well, both sides have acknowledged that this was a consensual, tumultuous relationship. And we come to this conclusion because of this nice settlement money that he has given us. And, you know, this extortion went as planned. So you got lawyers. They can literally announce that their extortion attempt went to plan. And you have dudes, hoe ass ninjas, making jokes. Oh, that's what Shannon Sharpe get. He shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, imagine you're in a consensual relationship with a chick. You get sued. You get openly extorted in the public. You finally come to a settlement, and then the lawyer comes out and said, "Well, it was a consensual relationship." Meanwhile, you're still gonna have people put the grape word or SA word over Shannon Sharpe's head, and you even have the lawyer that was integral in suing Shannon Sharpe say that this was a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship. And it's just like they're just like, well, after extorting him and with this, we came to a nice decision. This is how I'm looking at it. Like, this is criminal. But like I said, people have their grievances on Shannon Sharpe. That's why, that's why I will always respect Corey Holcomb, because he said, "Look, I got a problem with Shannon Sharpe, but they're doing him wrong right now." But you have what most people are doing. Oh, he should have known better. Oh, he shouldn't have been doing what he should have been doing with no white girl. And I'm like, so he deserves to be extorted. And to have blackmail put on him just because he's not dating how you guys want him to date. So he deserves to be extorted. Because either way, whether he was with an old black bish or a young white bish, if he's getting extorted, he's getting extorted. Because I know I'm not above it. I'm not. You think if you are a man that has sex with women, this can happen to you. This is what people don't understand. If you are a man and you have sexual relations with women, I don't care when it was. Bill Cosby proved this. I don't care when it was. This can happen to you, depending on what lawyer she finds, depending on if Tony Busby wants to take the case or not, depending on if you got a lawyer that got a real agenda against you. That's all it depends. That's all it depends on. It's not about whether it's right or wrong. It's just a matter of if the circumstances are right to sue you. I'm going to continue reading the quote from Tony Busby. He goes on to say, all matters have now been addressed satisfactorily and the matter is closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice. Busby added. Sharpe's attorney, Lanny Davis, declined to comment on the case when reached for comment by People. In April, Sharpe was accused of grape and SA in a lawsuit filed by a woman identified in court documents obtained by People as Jane Doe. The woman requested $50 million in damages and alleged that the former ESPN host graped her on multiple occasions over the course of a 2-year rocky consensual relationship. I don't even know how that's even possible, but that's it is what it is. So this is why Tony Busby took the case. because he understood that there were details in the case where it's not even about the grape. He knew that she had compromising information about what Shannon Sharpe was doing in the bedroom, and they used that against him. This is the part that people don't understand. This is not about payment this, he shouldn't be messing with this girl. What you do in the bedroom with a girl can now be criminalized against you or used as an open extortion attempt to blackmail you. But I don't know. I don't know what it is with people. They really think that can't happen to them. They really think they're above that happening to you. Until it happens to a loved one, that's usually what happens, and people stop joking about it. But it is what it is. She also claimed that Sharpe recorded their sexual encounters without her consent and shared the recordings with others. No, she's talking about those recordings in the beginning. Oh, Lord. Sharpe's attorney denied the allegations at the time. In a statement to People, he described the lawsuit as a shakedown attempt and claimed that the relationship between the woman and Sharpe was consensual. And this was, yes, it was consensual. Tony Busby just admitted it was consensual. Mr. Sharpe categorically denies all allegations of coercion or misconduct, especially the gross lie of grape, and will not submit to what he sees as an egregious attempt or at blackmail. David said he stands firmly by the truth and is prepared to fight these false claims vigorously in court. He looks forward to blah, blah, blah. And he thought he was going to fight it in court, but he ended up still settling. Because Tony Busby knew that she had interesting information on Sharpe, and Sharpe did not want that stuff to come out about what he does in the bedroom, because then it would call into question his sexuality. And he did not want to hear from Corey Holcomb. That's really what and everybody else, but people like Corey Holcomb that had called into question his sexuality. Yep. So shout out to George right here. Somebody said this was nothing but a classic shakedown, and it's an insult to women who are truly graped. You have a consensual relationship with this man, and then you suddenly cry grape. I understand why Sharpe settled with her, because sometimes it's cheaper to just give her $5 million and get her and her crooked lawyer to go away, but it only serves as fuel for the next low-life female to target the next black celebrity. Well, as like I said, I always say, as long as you target black male celebrities, you'll be fine. You'll get something out of it. Now, the women that they try to target white males, like once they start trying to target white male, particularly athletes, it usually doesn't work. That's what it kind of worked with Trevor Bauer, but people know that he's innocent. But I'll say this: I'm shocked that Matt Ariza, the punter, was able to find a spot, but he still lost a lot of money. He lost a lot of money with that case. So right here. So now the normies are saying, "Oh, he walked away for a reason. He's hiding something." And you're just like, and people, they talk about, emotional intelligence. I just think, first of all, I don't think women have it at all. And then second of all, people are so gullible. Just because somebody settles does not mean they're guilty. But there's a lot of people that settle in civil court. They just, but like I said, unfortunately, they like people like that. They have to wait until it happens to somebody that they know and love. for them to realize like Shannon Sharpe has been extorted. You know, I'll say this: I try to save people from being like Steve Crowder on this channel. That's what I try to do. I be trying to save people from ending up like Steve Crowder, and maybe it's my fault for still trying to come to the defense of people like a Crowder or even like a guy like Shannon Sharpe or other people, because I remember Shannon Sharpe. He said something slick about Skip Bayless when Skip Bayless' name was mentioned in the lawsuit, but people don't ever think it can't happen to him. And I just think it's dangerous where whatever a man does with a woman in the privacy of his bedroom, it can be used against him in court, or it can be used against him if he decides to do something experimental or whatever. He does something a little bit compromising, and now he's got to worry about him being extorted for money. And if you don't pay this bitch this, she's gonna expose what you do in the bedroom. That's, to me, that's wild, right? Now, meanwhile, if a man records a woman against her will, it's called revenge. It's a revenge porn law. That man can get arrested for that. Yet when the reverse happens, a woman can openly extort a man and take his money and cry grape at the same time. That's wild. That's wild. You know, but most people are not gonna get it. Because I know why he settled. Because she was doing things with him that was compromising to his sexuality. And he was not trying to face the backlash of that, especially how hard, that he's tried to fight those, gay rumors about him. So really what that settlement confirmed to me was, oh, he be doing some interesting things in the bedroom. That's what that confirmed to me. That confirmed to me that Corey Holcomb was right about Shannon Sharpe being at war with his sexuality. That's what it confirmed to me. Now, obviously, I've always suspected it, but I've never held that against Shannon. But now this basically confirms it for like this. And if any doubt that I had about that, this confirmed it for me. But people are talking about they're acting like he's guilty of something. No, he's not guilty of anything. This is all consensual. But there are certain things that men do in the privacy of their bedroom that they don't want put out there because it's compromising to them. There's a lot of dudes that are into being dominated by women, right? They'll hire a dominatrix, right? And they don't want that being put out there because they feel like it compromises their masculinity. It just compromises their image. It compromises their family if they have a family, right? But they just like to do certain things. But anyway, that's sad. That's sad. Let's read the Gabriella Zuniga retirement Hall of Fame retirement speech after extorting Shannon Sharpe. And like I said, it's interesting. People find this funny, and I'm like, I never knew that sexual extortion with blackmail, right? Is I didn't think that was funny, but here we are. Here we are. And yes, obviously Shannon Sharpe shouldn't have been messing with a woman like that. But I always say, what's his option? So I'm like, what is he supposed to do? Get married And then I'm like, and then do what? We already know, especially with most athletes, like marriage with most athletes, it's like an 87% divorce rate. It's like in the high, it's in the high 80s when it comes to divorce, when it comes to athletes. So he comes in there and makes his money, and then he still loses half of his stuff anyways. It's like, damn, is there like no avenue where a man, especially in America, where if he's dealing with women, he's going to get extorted either way, no matter if he does things the quote unquote right way or if he pays for it or not pay for it or decides to go the single route or goes the bachelor route. He's still in danger of being extorted. And when you're being him being extorted, where really it's there's something vulnerable. It's something vulnerable in that she knows about his sexuality, and she exploits it to get some money out of him. I mean, this is evil stuff. This is evil stuff, but you know. It was because it was a lot of black people a little bit too happy about this, and that rubbed me the wrong way. Okay.
Oh man, the ESPYs, to which he went real here, and rather than me tell you about it, WNBA All-Star, let's listen. She's online when she was a
Oh, that's not it. So yeah, this is her. I guess this is her Instagram page. Okay, 20-year-old OnlyFans model who hit Shannon Sharpe with a $50 million lawsuit says she's retiring from OnlyFans after settling the lawsuit with him. She goes, "Today I have decided to retire from OF. Thank you for the incredible support you've shown me over the past years. This community has given me a life I could have never imagined. I'll still be active on social media and have several new projects in the works that I can't wait to share. I'm truly excited for this next chapter. I love you all forever and ever." This bitch is evil, dog. That's just evil. Let me look her up on IG real quick. Gabriella Zuniga. Lady boss in her profile pic, lady boss. I'll say this. Ladies, y'all cannot be mad no more if men just look at you as a set of hoes, because that's really all y'all are. All this stuff about, oh, I just want men to take us seriously and we need to be in the work. Nah. Because even when you do go into workforce, all they're gonna do is try to look for a shortcut. They're gonna try to see if they can screw somebody to you know, they can have sex. They try to find out who they can have sex with to see how they can move up in the game. I see this in all facets of life, mind you. Especially like I don't know if I can get an amen on this. I don't know if I can get an amen on this, what I'm about to describe. And I know a lot of guys have been in this situation. Have you been in a situation where you'll have a girl, she's talking to you, or you're at a job spot, and for some reason she sees you, she thinks that you're in a high position at the job, but you're not. But then when she finds out, she just stops flirting with you. She stops talking to you. She starts trying to flirt with somebody. I don't know if anybody can give me an amen on that, but I've seen that so many times, especially in my position where I know the boss, or I'm friends with the boss, or I know the boss from somewhere, from a past life, so he's lenient on me. Pause. Or me and the boss have a decent relationship, so she automatically thinks that I have clout. So you'll have the girl, she'll try to cozy up to you, but then the more she kind of hangs with you, she realizes that you actually just don't have clout. You're just a respectful person. And she kind of just like slowly but surely just stops trying to be with you, or she stops trying to offer up the pussy to you in a way. I don't know if I can get an amen in the chat on that, but this is what women do. They go into these spaces. They just try to see who they can fuck with, or who they can sleep with, or who could they bother up to, so they can you know, they try to see if they can skip. They always try to see if they can skip the line by using their pee hole. That's what they do. That's what they do. And I've had to come to that conclusion. There's a lot of conclusions I've had to come to this. I will say this specific year, when it comes to women, when it comes to certain athletes, when it comes to certain things, and I've been a lot more unapologetic about it. Even in the public eye, I've been a lot more unapologetic about it, and especially when it comes to the OnlyFans broads and people in the support that women have for these people. This show, like, it's clear to me, women don't mind being objectified at all. It's never been about being objectified. They were just mad that they couldn't get no money. They was mad that the pimps was taking most of the cut, or their male managers, etc. That's all it's been all about. That's all. And if you are a woman in the workforce, you are suspect until further notice. You are suspect until further notice. It is what it is. I mean, this the nerve of this broad. She got the nerve to put in lady boss in her bio after openly extorting a man. Which this is what we call, was it, sexual blackmail, right? Revenge porn, right? Whatever you want to call it. And people are laughing at this. People are laughing at this. You know? So Pyro said, look at MJ. His name got ruined by the media. Oh, yeah, Michael Jackson. Yeah. And this is you know, that is another thing too. Like, you know, you'll have the rare, because usually what happens, what they do is, what the media do is, they usually, if you're a black man, they try to put a grape case on you if you do something against the machine. And then if you're a white man, what they do is they try to plant kiddie porn on the white dude and try to accuse him of being a pedophile. It's the same. The playbook is so obvious. You know, this is what they do. This is what they do. Remember the white dude that blew the whistle on the CIA, you know, drug dealing in the neighborhood, spreading crack in the neighborhood. The guy's name was like something Webb, and then the powers that may be found out about this, and then they planted kiddie porn on him and said that he was a pedophile and stuff, and he lost his family and basically lost his life. Then he, you know, coincidentally, he unalived himself. Coincidentally. five shots to the back of the head, but he unalived himself. Okay. Anyway. Oh yeah, Ainsley said, not to me, but I've seen it, unfortunately. Ainsley knows what I'm talking about. It really happens in all aspects of life, where you'll see a girl, she'll cozy up to you because she thinks you got clout, and then she'll just stop because you realize you can't really move her up in the game. This is why I was trying to tell people, you know, because I did the last live stream about Joy Taylor, and people were asking, you don't think Shady hit Joy. I'm like, nah, Joy Taylor is not going after Shady because Shady don't got clout like that. Like, even though Shady's obviously he's an NFL legend, but in terms of media, when it comes to media, they're not trying to rise Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy, and he's too real. Shady McCoy is what you call a RN. He's a real ninja. Like, he's not gonna play. Yeah, he can get on TV because of what he did on the football field, but he's not gonna play ball, if you know what I'm saying. He's not gonna play ball with them people. Emmanuel Acho, on the other hand, he's willing to compromise himself. So Joy was specific. Joy chose people in the company that could help her rise up the ranks. Because if Joy Taylor was messing with ninjas like Shady McCoy, she'd have never even gotten the job. She would have never even gotten the job. Besides, if Charlie Dixon found out if Joy Taylor was smashing Shady, she would have lost all of her benefits. There's certain ninjas that the bosses don't want you touching. And Shady's one of those people. Okay. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I knew Shady was a real ninja. I'm not saying when you are RN, that means you're always right. I'm just saying I knew Shady was a real ninja from how he talked. And then on top of that, when Chip Kelly came to the Eagles and started cutting people, he basically cut all the ninjas that would talk back. That's what he did. He cut who he cut? Deshaun Jackson, Shady McCoy. He cut basically any ninja with a voice. Any ninja with a backbone on that Eagles team when Chip Kelly came, he basically cut them. And these were like the best players on that team. I was like, damn, you could cut the best players on the team like that. I'm like, damn, all right. I didn't know you could do that. This nigga, this coach is coming from college, and he could just come in. Mind you, he never even won nothing in college, but he could just come in and just cut the best ninjas on your team. I'm like, oh, I already know what these ninjas are. You feel like you can't run your bogus ass program when you got real ninjas like that on your team. They're not finna buy it. He said the FBI can be disbanded now. But like I said, it's unfortunate what's happening with, because they don't understand this is women know this is in their back pocket to use on all men. They know this. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. Dudes, I'm happy it ain't me. Nigga, if you have sex with women, this can happen to you. When you're having sex with women, especially in America, you're taking the risk of this eventually happening to you. And I guess people don't. Well, obviously, it's not going to happen to you if you work at Burger King, and you work at Dutch's, and you work at Walmart. Yeah, or you're a sandwich artist at Subway. Of course, you don't have to worry about that happening to you. But do you guys want to work at Subway or Walmart for the rest of your life, just so you can avoid having a grape case or getting a case put on you? Is that what you guys want? Like, it'll be dudes, they think they're winning because, oh, I decided I quit my job so my baby mom don't have to, she can't get no more child support. I'm like, so you're just gonna end up being broke. You're just gonna go broke for the rest of your life and not make money proudly as a man because you don't want your baby mama getting your child support money. So it's like this. I'm like, this is the lengths that men are willing to go through just to, so they don't get their money taken from them. This is not good. And people wondering why, oh man, why men ain't trying no more. They ain't doing. Oh man. But that's why I always say, if people be mad at me, especially like the white male conservatives. They'd be mad at me when I say, I'd be like, well, the Saudis, the people in Saudi Arabia, they do it the right way. They have their hoes in check. They don't got these bitches driving. They don't got bitches going outside. They got these bitches covered up. I think they're doing it the right way. I think so, because I say it like this, because I also think Sweden and Denmark, they're low-key doing it the right way too, because look, they say, well, okay, you want your freedom as a woman, but then you got to pay your bills. Yeah, right? But the thing in America, they allow women to become convenient feminists, where they can be feminist when it benefits them, and then they could be traditional when it benefits them. No. You need to choose a lane. This is why I like Saudi Arabia, and this is why I like, Denmark, Sweden, Netherlands, etc. Because you pick a lane. You have to pick a lane. If you live in Norway, yeah, you can be a feminist, and it's probably the most feminist place you can be in. But once you pick that lane, you pick it. They don't expect to find a traditional man. They don't expect for a man to, quote unquote, pay all their stuff, because they know this is the lane that they chose. They chose this lane. They understand what comes with equality. You know what I mean? But you'll have, like, the male conservatives here, they're simps. So they'll see something happen in Saudi Arabia and they'd be like, wow, the women are actually oppressed in Saudi Arabia. No, they're not. They're not. If you even ask the women over there, they'll tell you they're not oppressed. They're not oppressed over there. They're just being congruent with the laws. So yes, so yes, you'll have women, they're getting taken care of by men with money. They get all their bills, they get everything taken care of. They get believed if they say something, but at the same time, you can't go outside. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's how it's supposed to be. If you're gonna do it like that, it's got to be congruent all the way. But in America and in Australia, they do it where there's no win for a man. There's no consistency. It's just whatever benefits the woman at the time. Nah, we can't have that. Nah, I can't live in a world like that. Me personally. That's why I always looked at, I always say I'm so mad that I never continued, like, because I remember when I got injured in 2016, I stopped playing soccer for like 5 years. And I literally did not pick up a soccer ball for 5 years because I was so depressed about my injuries. I wish I kept going, because Saudi Arabia has this thing now where the tier 3 players are being paid $200,000 a year so they can get numbers in the tier 3 system. I was like, what? I'm like, you mean to tell me I could have been in Saudi Arabia right now playing tier 3 football, making $200,000 a year, doing what I love, and I'm in tier 3. I'm not even in the first division. What? Man, I'd have moved to Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't mind. Because I actually like the laws that they got in Saudi Arabia in these spots. You can't be outside cursing. You can't be loud. I could do that. That's nothing to me. I can do that. And then just play soccer. And then when I'm done with that, I can just move somewhere else. What? That's a win in my book. That's why I also say this. Lionel Messi's wife, right? I've considered her suspect ever since, because the reason why the reason why Lionel Messi didn't take his talents to Saudi Arabia, even though they offered him significantly way more money. They offered him $1 billion to play soccer. $1 billion. I think it was more than $1 billion. And then on top of that, when you're a soccer player, you're getting everything. Everything is being handed to you for free, so you don't even got to pay for stuff like that. $1 billion. People, I would think people understand how much $1 billion is, but whatever. But now he's in America because Messi's wife didn't want to move to Saudi Arabia, and I always found that interesting. I was like, what? He turned down a bill for who? I was like, what happened? Oh, his wife wants to his wife doesn't want to move to Saudi. I'm like, oh, because it would have worked out perfectly because Messi has a wife, you have kids, it'll be a perfect transition. It's not no live-in girlfriend situation. That's his wife. It would have been perfect. And I always question. I'm like, why? Why would you turn down like literally life-changing type money like that for the United States? To move to Miami? Oh, because they all speak Spanish? Nah. So I remember somebody that was in the comment section. They said that Messi's wife didn't want to move to Saudi Arabia because she wants to cheat in peace. Because over there, if you you know, it's real punishments for like, you know, cheating on your spouse in spots like, you know, Dubai and all that, right? It's like actual punishments for cheating. So I remember somebody was in the comments that she said she wanted to move to America so she could cheat in peace. And I'm gonna say this. It's plausible. That's very plausible. That's very plausible. Because yeah, they offered him some decent money in you know, in the United States, and yes, the rights to some TV rights and all this. I'm like, that's nothing compared to what the money that they was finna give him in Saudi Arabia. They were offering him $1 billion to play. $1 billion. $1 billion. $1 billion. I'm not talking about transfer fee. I'm talking about in wages. $1 billion. They was gonna pay him $1 billion. That's why hoes, they avoid spots like, you know, they avoid like those Middle East, they avoid that like the plague. And they could talk about, oh, it's the environment, it's the weather and all. Nah, because there's consequences to 304s that try to act like 304s in spot like that. That's all it is. That's really what it is. But we gonna leave that alone. I thought my mouse died for a second. But yeah, that's crazy. To basically have her a retirement speech, like she's retiring from the NBA after extorting a motherfucker, and she puts out a basically a retirement speech, like she had a Hall of Fame OF career. That's wild work. So yeah, I see a lot of the comments they're saying, man, Shannon got exactly what he deserved, and I'm like, I'm not saying he didn't put himself in that situation, but I'm like, if you're a man and you could just get extorted like that, I mean, what else can you do as a man when basically anything that you do in your bedroom could be used against you for money? So somebody said reason 2392039 why dumb athletes will be one of if not the main targets of the succubus crew. That is true because Brittany Renner did say that athletes are the dumbest ones, particularly NBA. She said particularly NBA athletes because they don't even use protection. But the reason that but the other part of it is athletes are particularly young male Negro athletes, even old male Negro athletes, but particularly male Negro male athletes. They get targeted because they know they know they can get got in the system. They know they can get got. And lawyers know that they're an easy, juicy target to use. Yep. So somebody said it here. He said, this chick literally texted him, I want to be abused, and asked for hardcore BDSM action. Then he actually has rough sex with her. And she's like, OMG, I was raped. That's literally what she did. That's literally what she did. This was a BDSM type relationship that Shannon had with this broad. Same thing happened with Trevor Bauer, too. Literally what happened, well, I'll say similar happened with Trevor Bauer, where she asked for rough treatment. She got it. And then cried grape days later when somebody found marks on her and she was embarrassed. Right. But this was more of a planned situation. This was more of a woman just looking for a mark and she got him. But even if you feel like it's interesting, even if you feel like Shannon Sharpe put himself in that situation, I've really never heard of somebody, saying like, yeah, you see, that's why you deserve to get robbed. Right? You know what I mean? That's just where I'm coming from with it. So I'm like, so just because somebody was stupid, so just because somebody was stupid or they were careless, I'm like, that doesn't mean they deserve to be extorted or robbed. But like I said, but at the same, like they're quick to say that on Shannon Sharpe and all this stuff. But then when I say, there's no such thing as grape culture in college. A lot of these women, they kind of put themselves in this situation. They act like I'm crazy for saying that. That's why I always say this. I will always put Corey Holcomb above most, because people always like to, men are the easy targets, and especially certain type of men, they tend to be easy targets for the public to just kick on or to just make an example of. So remember when David Banner had said, remember when I had called out David Banner or these guys out there for saying, oh man, I could never do business with a guy that cheats on his wife and all this stuff. And it was interesting because the next day Corey Holcomb had called out David Banner and he was like, all right, you can say that, but how about this? Yeah, you can say, he goes, yeah, you can say I'm not gonna do business with somebody that that sleeps with that cheats on his spouse. He said, but I'm damn sure I ain't gonna do business with a man that sleeps with another man. He said, why don't you say that? But nobody's gonna say that. Nobody's gonna say that. Nope, nobody's gonna say that. He said, how about why? He said, why don't people say this? He's like, well, because nobody's brave enough to say that. And by the way, all these dudes that be saying, oh, I'm not gonna do business with a dude that cheats on his wife, you probably have, and you just don't know it. So all this stuff, people like to use men to be self-righteous and the where they try to criminalize a man's sexual nature just to make a point or to virtue signal. I don't like it when people do that. Oh, I will never do business with a man that cheats on his spouse. But it's interesting. They never say I would never do business with a woman that cheats on their husband, because a lot of these same dudes that say, "Oh, I would never do business with a man that cheats on his wife," these are the same people that are sleeping with women that have husbands, and they know it. So they will never say, "Oh, I will never do business with a woman that cheats." With a woman with a woman that cheats on her husband. They'll never say that, even though you would think it's obvious, but they don't say that, because a lot of these dudes they be sleeping with women that have husbands, or they sleep with women that have somebody at home. A lot of dudes do that, so it would make them a huge hypocrite. That's why they don't say stuff like that. So they'll just say, "Oh, I can't do business with a man that cheats on his wife." It's just another. It's just another way for men and simps to virtue signal. So, but shout out to Corey Holcomb for 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 calling out dudes that be saying stuff like that. It's just dudes trying to virtue signal for Punani. I don't know why dudes do that. I'm like, you guys know you don't have to do that, right? You don't have to throw other men under the bus to get some pussy. You don't have to do that. But to each is to what does Darlene OG Ortiz said? To each their own. To each their own. Let's see what else the Twitter has to serve a brother. Let's see what I got saved. Nothing else. And I don't know. I guess I'll never go to. It seems like I'm never gonna get to that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant thing. I'm never gonna get to it. I'm never gonna get to it. And I'll just say this: it's interesting, with that situation.
We over here.
Verse uno.
Man,
It's interesting with that situation. Corey Holcomb already exposed her a while back, but nobody wanted to give Corey Holcomb his credit for calling her out for being a fake doctor, for calling her out for playing the field, for calling her out for being a lesbian. He was the first person to put her on blast on that. And now people are starting to do the research on her, and people found some pictures on her, right? And pictures of her her quote unquote her security guard, her bodyguard. And here we are taking relationship advice and all these things. From a bitch that's just lying. So so Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, she did get put in the ringer by everybody else, because when they found out that how she was rolling, and Paul Pierce basically exposed her. But like I said, nobody's gonna say that Corey Holcomb was right. They're just gonna say Paul Pierce exposed her. Because when Corey Holcomb says it, they're always gonna say the same thing. Oh, he hates women, and he calls everybody gay. They're always gonna dismiss it like that. That's what they're always. That's what the normies are gonna do. But yeah, everybody already did their whole Dr. Cheyenne Bryant videos, so I'm probably never gonna get to that video. But as long as people already know that she's a liar and a fraudster, that's all I want. As long as people know this it should have already been common knowledge. But when Corey Holcomb covered this last week on his show, he said something very interesting. I don't know if I can get to it. But shout out to Corey Holcomb for calling her out on Cam's show whiles back. But even then, Corey Holcomb used to be on Dr. Cheyenne Bryant's neck years ago. And I showed you the clips about that. I showed you the clips Corey Holcomb going in on Dr. Cheyenne Bryant years ago, you know. But let me show you this shorts from Cam's show.
When somebody say Dr. Bryant, it irks me. Where's she a doctor at? Because I've done the research. I don't see doctor nowhere.
I would say in this world of content, she has provoked thought.
Give me a great thought, she said.
Well, low vibrational.
The man living in his mama's house that you.
Now, that whole low vibrational thing, that got debunked. That's not even a term. That's a term that they use with like when she was talking about like low vibrational and like in high functioning and low functioning, they actually had a licensed like person come in and say, no, those are like terms that you use with like autistic people, like high functioning, low functioning. And then when she says low vibrational, these are not actual terms.
You describe, right? Based on society. That's a low value mentality.
Reality, not
That's
society.
Fine. You can say reality. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Right.
I saw her squirm when you put the question on her.
Cat got your tongue. We've been
No,
talking
not
about
cat.
cats and
Not-
curiosity and all
Cat
that.
don't,
But
cat don't got my tongue.
you didn't answer my
I answered it.
And that part where he's talking about when Dr. Cheyenne Bryant has said, oh, Cam Newton's making broken families. He's creating this, Nick Cannon that. So he goes, oh, okay. So what do you think about, wouldn't that make 50 Cent would he qualify as a man that's creating broken families? What he said is 50 Cent a low vibrational man? And she didn't want to answer that. And the reason why she didn't want to answer that is because Dr. Cheyenne Bryant still wants to do a collab, probably potentially down the line wants to do a collab with 50 Cent or wants to do business with him, right? Or try to work him out some paper. This is what clout chasers and scam artists do. This is what they do.
Okay.
Have you heard some of the stuff she said she did to the men that she was in relationships with?
No.
Saying there's people who know y'all and they talk. When somebody say Dr. Bryant, it irks me.
But shout out to Corey Holcomb for, taking the bullets, But man, Corey Holcomb has said something very interesting where
She wasn't even on the show 5 minutes before she start being disrespectful to him.
it was a part where he said, look, I'm glad people are seeing that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is what she is. But he's like, why is she even allowed? He was basically going at the public for saying, why couldn't you guys peep game off rip that she was a scam artist? And I often have questions like that. I'm like, how was she even able to get as far as she went? I was like, how is that even possible? I'm like, are people really this gullible? But see, we all saw how far Derek Jackson was able to go. So, and people like that. So, people can be very, they can get played. People can get played out here. I'm not saying it's illegal to get played, but I don't understand why people couldn't really call her out at first. But I'll say this. Tasha K has said something about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant being a lesbian, and it was because when I first heard it from people on the outside and I did my own research, I was like, uh-oh, there might be legs to this story, right? But Tasha K made a great point where people look at Tasha K and they think she's a lesbian because she's dark skinned and she has short hair and she's loud. So they assume that she's a lesbian, but for some reason, when it's somebody like a Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, light-skinned girl, allegedly pretty, you know, the standard beauty look that a lot of black men are looking for, nice hair, right? They look at her and they're just like, oh, she can't be a lesbian. And this is why people like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant or pretty women like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant can get away with the stuff that they can get away with, because nobody's going to assume it. They don't look at her and they're like, nah, there's no way she can be a lesbian. They can't even entertain. It sounded, when Corey Holcomb has said it, or when other people have put it out there, they're just like, nah, there's no way. He's just hating. He's just Corey Holcomb calls everybody gay. That's what they wrote it off as. Instead of really looking at her actions, seeing her situation, we're like, well, she is 42 years old. She is childless. She said that I'd be getting vitamin D, but I don't see no young dudes trying to claim that they smash. So I'm like, there might be something to this. But, when it comes to people like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, because particularly older black men, or even some younger black men that just want to hit it, they're going to give her the benefit of the doubt because of how she looks. So you have women like that, they do take advantage of their looks to get to where they need to be, because when you have a woman that looks like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, they're not going to ask her the tough questions. They're not. But yeah, I did wanted to because when Corey Holcomb went in on it last week, I was like, I know people go. I was like, I already know Corey Holcomb about to go in on it. I knew it.
Woman, yicking it up.
Paul, I love Paul.
With the other bra.
You're what? 47. 7? Right. So which means he no longer
47 is
getting on all these shows, right?
Because cake ass niggas, and look, don't nobody want to claim being a cake ass nigga. What is a cake ass nigga? Can we get a definition of a cake ass nigga first?
But I'm saying, what is it that she's actually promoting other than I thought I was
all her websites go to beg pages. She wants a donation.
And you don't think she's paying to like be on any of those shows?
Say that again, Craig.
Thing is, click here to book your life coaching session, join the newsletter. Looks like she's got a Dr. Bryant Institute. Let's just take a look at Dr. Bryant's link tree that's available on her Instagram. Mental detox, retreat in Mexico, book a session, enroll in a high.
Now that we have time, let us check out Dr. Cheyenne Bryant's website. Let's check this out. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Click here to book your life coaching session. Oh, man. Oh, hell nah. $350 for a virtual life coaching session. $500 for a private wellness retreat. What? $500 to book Dr. Bryant as your speaker, moderator, panelist, special guest. Telephonic life coaching for $350. Wait, hold on. $1,500 travel to you life coaching. What? Group life coaching 220. What? This is wow. I didn't even need to look at her website to know. Oh, sorry. I'm not sharing the tab. I'm sorry. I didn't share the tab. This is her services. I would have sworn I was sharing the tab. My bad. This is her services that she got. Virtual life coaching for $350. Private wellness retreat, $500. Book Dr. Bryant as your speaker, moderator. Let me zoom in. Telephonic life coaching, $350. Travel to you life coaching, $1,500. A Dr. Cheyenne Bryant themed gift card. Good Lord, have mercy. Office life coaching for $750. This is a scam artist, bro. Oh my God. You got to be kidding me. Travel to you life coaching. Technically, this is low key prostitution right here, but that's a whole other story. Oh, she's really booked up like that? Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way, boy. There's no way she booked up like that. There's no way. Let's add that to the cart. Oh, shoot. That's crazy. She really booked up like that? Dr. Brian, how are you really making this money? Anyway. Oh, man. Financing. Let's search this. Oh, hell no. Nah. Yo, any all right. But I guess Corey Holcomb's the bad guy. He's the bad guy here. He's the bad guy here, apparently. That's wild. Yep. It's all paywalls. It's all paywalls. But apparently Corey Holcomb's the bad guy. And, you know, even like, and it was interesting, like, Corey Holcomb is basically the boogeyman of comics, and because like it'll be shows like The Breakfast Club or even Shannon Sharpe's podcast. Corey Holcomb's name gets brought up a lot, but Shannon Sharpe refuses to acknowledge it because he got upset when Corey Holcomb called him gay. And then with The Breakfast Club, Corey Holcomb's name gets brought up a lot. But since Just Hilarious is on that show, and Just Hilarious basically proved Corey right about who she is. So there's always going to be a tension between her and the other female co-hosts. But anytime that there's time to talk negative about Corey Holcomb, Just Hilarious is always on board. So I remember when Dr. Brian came on there, she was talking crazy about Corey Holcomb, lying about him. I'm like, damn, how many lies she could tell? But they let her get away with it. Nobody's gonna call her out for lying. Oh yeah, and by the way, rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosby Show. Shout out to him. Man, that's a very unexpected death. He was only 54. They say he died from drowning. So rest in peace to him. So he played one of Bill Cosby's kids on the Cosby Show. That's what he's most known for. Whoa, what? Hold on. I'm seeing something crazy right now. I'm seeing something crazy on Twitter right now. I don't know what's happening. What's going on? Is she taking a crap while on shift and she can't go back to work because the crap is so bad? I've been there before. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Oh my God. Oh. I'm at Popeyes, bro. I'm on the clock, bro. I'm on the...
Oh Lord. Yeah, she might as well clock out because she's gonna be fired after this.
I'm on the clock, bro. I ate some chicken dippers. They messing my stomach up.
Oh man.
Oh, this is an order. Ooh, bitch, this thing. Oh my fucking god, this is oh shit.
Damn, her coworker came in. Oh my god, it smells horrible. Oh man. I said I feel bad. She just gonna have to go ahead and just clock out. You might as well just clock out. Damn. She might as well clock out. Oh man. Yeah, you gotta also, you gotta be careful when, especially if you are working at one of these spots and you're eating at that same spot. First of all, if she works at Popeyes, she should already know how that stuff is being made. You know you're not supposed to be eating there. Like people that work at those spots, they see what goes on in the back, they're like, well, I should not be eating there. No. There's certain certain food spots you don't eat at. And especially if you're working there, you see the behind the scenes, you know what happens. Like when I was working at the theaters, there was a point where I just stopped. Like, I'll say this. When I worked at the theater and I was like, oh, they finna add real food and all this stuff. But I actually saw what they were actually doing. So anytime I go to a movie theater, I only get the popcorn and the soda. And when I ask for soda, I ask for no ice because I already know what be happening with the ice. I already know what be happening with the ice. Like, hey, don't put no ice in that motherfucker. I know the background, so it's like, no. Just ask for the popcorn, even though that's kind of suspect as well. But I try to sneak in a candy package in from somewhere else, and then I'll ask for a mix of caramel popcorn and buttered popcorn, and then I ask for a Coke with no ice. That's what I do. And I already know that's going to cost me an arm and a leg, but that's the only thing that I can trust at a movie theater. If you guys are actually buying food at a movie theater, like that, the fries and all that stuff, the chicken, I mean, you're putting yourself in real danger of getting food poisoning. Like I remember, I done seen on several occasions of people eating like the so-called hot food at the movie theaters, and then these people are throwing up. I've seen, like Ainsley can attest to this. I've seen we've seen this. I'm talking about several occasions of people throwing up after eating the so-called hot food, eating the chicken or the pizza, whatever, and then you got these kids throwing up right after, throwing up right in the hallway. Y'all wilding. Only thing I touch at the theater is what they had already before, which is the popcorn and the soda. And then with the soda, I ask for a fountain drink with no ice. That's what I do. Or get a bottle, or get one of these bottled beverages, right? If you don't trust that. But yeah, it's called like I said, it's called fast food. It's called fast food. You know, that stuff you're not supposed to be eating that stuff you're really not supposed to be eating that. So shout out, I feel so bad for her coworker came in, was like, oh Lord, what's happening? That's crazy.
Chicken dippers, they messing my stomach up.
Oh my God. Just no sympathy, bro. This bitch crying on the toilet. And homegirl coming in like, oh my God, he's like, she said, I gotta finish. She said, you gotta finish this man order. Oh my God. But I'll say this, that's the worst thing to do. I'll say this, if you are working fast food, the worst thing that you could do is take a quick number 2 break while on the clock. Like, you need to use one of your 15s or one of I can't say I won't say one of your 30s, but use one of your 15s to to take that number 2, because if you do it on the clock, you're gonna be in there for a minute. Especially if you already in there eating that food that you already know is poisonous, you gonna be in there for a minute. That's just my advice on that. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, pack lunch. Facts. Shout out to Pyro there. Guys, pack lunch. Now I know the things with people with pack lunch, you got to deal with people trying to steal your food and all that stuff. So I guess that's why people don't do it. But if you guys can do it, and if you guys can, like, buy a lock on your lunch boxes, pack lunch if you can. Pack a lunch. That stuff, you cannot be eating that stuff. And that's coming from a person that be eating that stuff. I'm telling you, you cannot be eating that stuff. Pack a lunch. Pack a lunch. Pack a lunch. But anyways, what the? Wow, I guess StreamYard added something different on there. Nice. Okay, I didn't know that. But anyways, I didn't know. Oh, by the way, I got some new sound bites on my thing. I got some new sound bites.
Stop it. Get some help.
And I added this specific one that a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. Pyro said I only eat that stuff to bulk up. Yeah, I only eat that up. Yeah, that bad stuff. I tried to bulk up by eating that stuff too, but that ended up backfiring on me in a different way. So I don't even want to talk about that. But yeah, I still from time to time I will eat stuff like that to bulk up. I won't lie. I won't lie. But anyways, yeah, I got some clips on here. I got some funny clips on here that I like to use. So even this one right here.
When he said that, was your shirt on or off?
I can't wait to use these in a more proper, when it's appropriate. Oh, I got this one too. Hold on for a second. Let me put the background on. Let me try this one. This one is another hilarious one.
I want to let every homosexual out there know that we are setting up rehabilitation center. Those whose rectums have been ruptured.
Let's can we use more sober language? People are having breakfast
I'm
this
sorry,
morning.
those whose behinds has been ruptured.
But anyway. Yeah. I'm gonna be but I'll say StreamYard gives me a limit to like how many of those I can load up. So, and also that's why I gotta get Stream Deck and to see how that works. I definitely gotta get that, but that's probably gonna be on another time. That's all I wanted to go over on this show. I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. I've said this for a while on the show. What happened? Like I said, what happened to Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Deshaun Watson, etc., Shannon Sharpe, all these people, that can happen to you if you're messing with women that don't have your back. All women have the power in this day and age to extort you for having sex with them. So please be careful of who you have sex with. And probably in Shannon Sharpe's case, he probably could have saved himself by going public with the woman. But he didn't want to go public with the woman because he was doing things sexually with her that he didn't want put out there. So it is what it is. But like I said, all the people that are, like I said, it's either you go the bachelor route and you have a bitch extort you, or you go married and she divorces you and extorts you that way. So there's really no win in this situation. So the people that are kind of, on Shannon Sharpe's neck about this, you guys, please don't think that it cannot happen to you. Please don't think it can't happen to you. That's all I had to say about that situation. But so let me end off the stream with a funny. Well, I don't know if I have a funny one. Oh yeah, we'll end off with Julia Fox. So peace out, guys. Peace out. We'll end off with Everybody Hates Chris and then Julia Fox.
Is she white?
What? No.
Can she get the house?
Rochelle.
Is she white?
Stop it.
Do you have a kid with her?
Is she white?
Would you say you hate men?
I hate the patriarchy. There's a lot of really good men.
Judd?
Answer the question.
Do I hate men? No.
That's a lie.